to the baddest dojo in town, Cobra Kai. And now that Cobra Kai is flying high, once again, I've tried to get people put on to this season, and this has a lot of bright spots, a lot of bad spots, and we need to get to a lot of this season. Uh, the good and the bad. The good, the good is actually, where should we start? Let's start with the first two episodes. The first two episodes were wasteless. This was just fluff, just to extend a series of what they want to do. It's a 15 episode series that's going to be told in 3 parts of 5. Now, they could have flushed the first 2 episodes, because you got nothing out of it. And this is the tale of the good and the bad. And the bad is that they keep having this narrative of making these guys fight each other when they all on the same team now. You know, Tori had a great character arc, and when you start to see where she ends up and what happens with her, and having stories unrelated to karate that that they need to have focus and bringing everybody full circle, you're having a series that has all these emotional angles, and this is what keeps the young people invested. You have some of the older people liking some of the jokes, but you know, it creates scenarios for them to have to fight. Now, them having the fight in the frat house with those guys goes against everything that they have been teaching between the two. You see Tori, the loss of her mom, and the emotional scale she was able to go to shows her range as an actor or actress, however you want to view it. You start to see the introduction of Quan, which was the plus into this. Now, this whole Johnny and his, redemption into I'm going to be a better dad now with another kid, kind of takes away from the actual bonding he has with his own child, Robbie. He already has a kid, so they're saying, okay, I have a kid, but now since Miguel is my student that I train, instead of building the bond with them, we're going to make the bond around another baby. That's going to do it. Let's have another baby, and then that's going to be the key and the glue to make all of this work. I just think that the storyline kind of like jumped the shark, and it kind of minimized Miguel's family. And it became, instead of Miguel's family, Johnny's family now. And now you got the grandma who was funny in her line. She's barely in this episodes. And she's kind of like regular, just taken completely out of the picture, So you don't really see a lot of the spectrum of her comedy, her humor, and that's kind of gone. So now it's like, okay, what do we do here for a season? Because Kreese is gone. We don't know where Kreese is, but we know he escaped when he really didn't have to, because Terry Silver is the one that's supposed to be charged for the crime now. And they know that Kreese didn't do anything. But he escaped from prison. So that's a lot. Now, the arc of Chosen and this thing with Kimiko, with him and Kimiko coming full circle, they're dragging this out to a point that it doesn't need to be. Chosen has reached a point where his arc is not needed. You don't need him to fight Terry Silver anymore. That's done. So Chosen teaching and mentoring the students, it's like, okay, well, we have Daniel and Johnny for that. Now having Chosen here is taken away from the dynamic of Johnny and Daniel bonding together because they have two different styles and forms of karate. Now you got two guys with the same style and form of karate going up against Johnny, and it just didn't make any sense for Chosen to still be here. So they figured that out and they got Chosen out of there and put him on a plane. Like, okay, we got Chosen up out of here. He's instead of him just being the goon all the time, we have a match of fun between Johnny and Eagle Fane and Miyagi Do coming together. So now they all Miyagi, which made no sense. Miyagi Fane was the only thing that did make sense. And the fact that Johnny's arc had really come full circle. And every time you think he's come full circle, they've turned him back into a cartoon character and have him going inside to getting jealous because he's training him, and he goes into the shop talking about he's starting his own car dealership and jumps up on it's just making a fool of himself. And it's so unnecessary because you don't need to do that to his character. His character doesn't need to go backwards. So having the Cobra Kai students team up and do things with the Miyagi camp made one big karate dojo. Then they bring in tension between Miguel, and then you already knew Kreese was going to come back for Tori. So Tori was the one he related to the most. And what he told her actually came through. Now, the arc of Quan was better. That's what I really liked. And Miguel should never have lost to Robbie. But they felt Robbie needed to be the one. Well, they had an unnecessary. That's why I said the arcs are so crazy. It didn't even make sense for Johnny and Matt Barnes to fight. But Matt Barnes was back being Matt Barnes. The last time that they filmed, he was not nowhere near in shape to actually be in the Cobra Kai series. They had a stunt double do mostly everything for him. Now he's in shape. He was in shape for these scenes. And there was a lot of him in the shots, and the shots looked better because he didn't look like an old retired guy who was actually selling, furniture. He was back full swing into karate. Oh, that dynamic worked, bringing in Matt Barnes to evaluate the students and bring him in just for that short period of time. Seeing Miguel, who comes in and was able to pull the arc out, and you seeing the battles kick off with Matt Barnes and Johnny fighting. A lot of people wanted to see how they would go. Most of this now, that was my favorite part of the whole episode 1, is when he knocked Johnny down. See, what did I tell you? Cream puff! That was my favorite scene of the entire episode, since when he knocked Johnny on his ass and said, yeah, see? What did I tell you? Cream puff! So it just didn't make sense that Johnny and him would ever be fighting after what they went through with Silver. But you needed this just for storyline. And you don't need to dumb down the audience. There are better ways of doing this. To have a 5-minute fight, and after a kick to the head, then he's, I'm now seeing the error in my ways. My bad, dude. We're cool. It's like, come on. It's like, I understand fan service, but it's like you're setting up another video game. Like the fight in the frat house, and then Bronx comes in there. Bronx! You got Bronx! And I'm like, okay, this is the Cobra Kai video game. So it's like referencing the games. And it's like, okay, we're making video game moments here. So this was probably the worst it's been so far. This was all set up. So it's hard to even gauge it. Because the setup is showing that, the setup just shows you how weird it is. And the dynamic has gotten weird. You're starting to see Johnny and Daniel fight over and over again about what's right and what's wrong. Miyagi, the box. Oh, Miyagi was this bad guy, and Daniel keeps striking first. Anytime he hears Miyagi's name, he gets triggered. And he's off balance because he can't take that. Mr. Miyagi might have been a rough guy. And everybody's like, they're ruining Miyagi's legacy. I don't think they're ruining Miyagi's legacy. Because to me, there is no real Miyagi legacy. It's the legacy that they're creating. Like, Miyagi didn't have a school anywhere. He's known back in Okinawa. And we know him from the movies, but now they're trying to make it look like Mr. Miyagi did all these things, and it's not going to be Mr. Miyagi at all. The person that they're going to be talking about is Jackie Chan. It's obvious that they're setting this up for another movie where Jackie Chan's character, and when he played Mr. Miyagi, and the Will Smith, Karate Kid remake movie. So they're gonna find a way to segue Jackie Chan into it. Now it's like Miyagi had another brother. It's like, what? His name was Miyagi too, and it is gonna get crazy. The fallout with Hulk and Eli over this. You promised to go to school. And then to have his girlfriend come back for one scene just to give him the inspiration that you're not a loser. Don't say you're going to be second place. Let's get that put in full circle. People need to understand that when they speak, I mean, if you're gonna watch it, watch the last 2 episodes. That's basically all I can tell you. Out of 5 episodes, watch the last 2, and you won't miss a thing. Yeah, it's just a lot of fan service. Yeah, I got a big fan event to go to. everybody's getting ready for Deadpool and Wolverine. So because of that, I won't be around for a couple of hours. What are some of the surprises you're gonna see? Well, there's a Quan is the thing that I was more interested in seeing. All the interesting parts of part six happened with Japan or Korea, wherever the hell they were at. They went to Korea, so that was the best part with the master and them training Quan. Quan is gonna be the new thing, and then this Reina, who's gonna be in part two. As you can see, she's got a banner on for Sekai. So I don't know how they're gonna have two women with that headband. Something's gonna happen here. And she is parkour all the way. So I'm surprised Taylor Lautner wasn't. I'm not saying he should be cast as one of the kids, but as far as one of the there's a rumor that Dimitri dies in Cobra Kai. I'm like, if Dimitri character dies, then that's the silliness, the comedy. That's that's gonna really shock a lot of people, and a lot of people wouldn't be happy with that. Uh, I don't think it's to the point where someone needs to die in Cobra Kai, and especially a Karate Kid saga that was not. Yeah, well, I try not to. No, what you don't want to do is put yourself in a position where you're not. Anthony Anthony is the new Karate Kid in the movie. Anthony LaRusso. In the movie, maybe, but Anthony is so cut away from all of the things that you saw from him in the past, and you know he was the little chubby fat kid from the first season, and then he just grew out of his fatness. He just had a growth spurt and just started growing up as these last 5 years happened, and his roles increased. Part two will be out November 15th. They changed the dates. Mm-hmm. No, I mean Cobra Kai is good. Was a good show because it basically reminded us and gave us some closure to a lot of things that we liked from Karate Kid Part 3. Like people didn't realize how much fans loved Karate Kid Part 3 after it was over, even though it didn't make all the money from the first two that exhausted the people. By Part 3, it was like, how many times are we going to keep seeing Daniel LaRusso get bullied and stand up to the bullies? And it's like, dude, after going through all you've been through, you just fought over in Japan for your life against Chosen. Now in the third one, you're back to being bullied again. You're scared of somebody in Reseda. It's like, come on. You would have thought Daniel had a little bit more balls, but then seeing the introduction of Terry Silver, who was like a real villain. Kreese never really did anything in the first movie at all. Like Kreese was not even involved. He just didn't care. He was just the example of a bad sensei. But he never went after Daniel, told them to attack Daniel, and did nothing of that sort. But he just came in with the sweep the leg analogy, like sweep the leg. I think that this is a time where most people would say that the show needs to, probably it's coming to its end. So they would have to focus on younger students. The original cast are becoming too old for this. Like they're all out of high school, leaving high school. The season's been going on for like this the sixth season, and they've been in high school for like 6 years. So it's like it's like time for them to move on. Everybody's looking getting too old. Like Kenny right now, he's bigger than Robbie. Robbie, Robbie was teaching him. Little Kenny, little Kenny is the biggest guy in there. He's bigger than everybody on the show. And they're talking to him. Listen, like he's a little kid. This is gonna hurt you when you get older. It's like Rob. I'm like Robbie. Kenny can put you in his back pocket right now. Exactly. Yeah, you big kitty now. So I gotta get ready to get up out of here. I gotta get ready for the fan event for Deadpool and Wolverine. I'll do a movie review right after. So part one, I give it 2 stars out of 4, even though it's not really something you could grade because it's meant to be a setup for the whole series. So it's like it's not even done. But the last 2 episodes, I believe, were the best of this 5. So on that point, I'm out. Deuces.